Hey everybody, it's Andrew Martin coming to you with a new video on March 14th. Happy March 14th. This is your March 2017 energy update video. Man, I can't believe that things are moving as quickly as they are. You know, here I am in the midst of this upheaval of my life. You know, I'm getting ready to leave my apartment in just a few days. I think like, what, 4 or 5 more days I'm here and then I'm moving on as I begin my journey of moving back to New York and returning to the East Coast. Don't let this backdrop that I've sort of like maneuvered and rigged fool you, because behind the plant and behind the, you know, I've done my best to make it look presentable, but I am living in like a freaking mess right now. My life has exploded. It is upended. I'm in the midst of packing, selling my furniture, getting ready for a moving sale I'm having this weekend, packing my own stuff, trying to figure out what I'm going to ship, what I'm going to take with me, what I'm going to, you know, donate, give away or sell or trash or whatever. And man, it is causing some friction and some tension and a lot of discomfort. And that is really what the topic of this month's video, or this update video is what I am calling the friction of the in-between. And I'm just going to jump right into it because I don't really have any announcements. I have a couple of short things I'm going to speak about at the end of the video, but I want to jump into the video right now. You know, I wasn't even sure if I was going to do a video for you for this month for an update, because I'm in the midst of all this chaos, in the midst of, you know, this big move. But I had a beautiful thing come through today in a session with a client this morning. She's a lovely woman. She's become one of my regular clients. And I've had this image that came through several times over the past couple of weeks with one-on-one sessions, and in the soul expansion calls I've been seeing this as well, and it came through again today, and I just very clearly had the moment of realization and of knowing that this is what I wanted to share with you. And I'm calling this the friction of the in-between, and here's what I mean. It's almost like we have the sense of these two things sort of rubbing up against each other and creating some friction and some tension and a little bit of discomfort. It's like on the one hand, we have our old life, the old stories, the old beliefs, the old patterns, the old fears, the old whatevers. And this is the thing that we are moving from. This is the thing that we are, you know, evolving out of. And it is really in a lot of ways, oftentimes the thing that we still find ourselves drawn back to and sitting within. You know, we're in this state of flux right now. We're still kind of transitioning from one state into another, and that can cause a lot of discomfort because we don't really know. It's like, I'm not here. Right? The old me is sort of gone and done. There's a little bit of an echo, right? There may be a few attachments or a few pulls back to the old ways, but we let ourselves sit with it and we've learned how to contend with those things mostly. And then I have the new me, right? I have the new thing that I'm moving towards. I have the new destination or the new plan or the new relationship or the new job or the new idea. And maybe I don't yet fully understand what's there. Maybe I only have a rough outline of the plan or a rough sketch of the idea, but I still know that where I'm headed is something new, something that I haven't really done yet. But I find myself kind of in the middle, right? It's like, here's the past, here's what I'm moving towards, and then here I am in the middle, sort of in the midst of these two things butting up against each other, and it's causing me some friction. It's causing me some tension and some anxiety and some discomfort. And this is where I am. You know, I'm literally sitting here surrounded by all of the things of my past. I'm literally sitting here in, you know, my old life. And I am piece by piece peeling it off as I'm getting rid of things and letting them go. And the physical representations of the old Andrew, or the old story of Andrew, are slowly but surely disappearing. They're slowly but surely evaporating out of my existence. And as they do, I sit with some sadness, or I sit with some frustration, or I sit with whatever it is and I let it go. And I know that I'm going back to New York, but I don't yet fully understand what's there for me. I don't really have a full comprehension of what I'm going to be called to do. I have an idea and I have an inkling, and that's enough, right? I'm trusting what I'm being guided towards. So in the big picture, it's all about trust and faith, right? It's all about the surrender. And I really do know that everything's going to be great. It's all going to work out in the way that is, you know, moving me towards my highest expression. I will always have what I require, so I'm not really worried about it in that sense. But then there is the human self that I'm contending with that has the questions about, but what does that mean for my practice? And what does that mean about for the projects that I'm working on? And what does that mean about, you know, the one-on-one sessions versus the group work and then doing live events and all of that? And there's so many questions right now. And I know that many of us are in this place right now where things are pretty good. For the most part, we're excited, right? We feel good about where we're going and we feel good about where we are. But then on the other hand, there's still sort of this grief and this pain and this unsureness. You know, many of us are seeing ourselves having to move away from relationships or loved ones where we see our family or friends or people that we love are taking their own journey. They're taking their own path, and maybe they aren't ready to move into this new direction that we are moving. And so we're finding ourselves having to leave some people behind, or at least have the sense that we're leaving these people behind. And I think one of the biggest things that we're contending with is really trusting ourselves. I think one of the biggest things that we're really contending with is having faith in the process. Because here is what I know, and I've said this before, we are divine. So when we say that we are divinely guided, what we're really saying is that we are self-guided. We are an aspect of all that is. We are not separate from all of it. So it really is just the expanded, bigger version of ourselves that is guiding us forward into these new places. And so a lack of faith or a lack of trust in the divine is really just a lack of faith or a lack of trust in self. And I get it. It is in many ways like it is when you start the new job, or you move away from home for the first time and you're living on your own, or you're going to school. And you're an adult, you're a very young adult, and you're capable and you're ready, and you have the basics and the foundations and the fundamentals of what you need to create the life for yourself, but you're not entirely sure how it is all going to work, and how does it go together, and what do I do when this happens, or what do I do if that happens? And so we find ourselves sometimes even second guessing the path that we're on, thinking like, can I do this? Am I ready for this? Is this even something that I want? So I understand where we are with this friction and this tension. You know, I'll give you a perfect example. A couple of weeks ago, my roommate, she's already found a new place, and she and her boyfriend have moved into their new place. And so I've basically been here by myself. And the last week or whenever it was that they had started packing to move, you know, I was out here and I knew that they were moving and they were loading stuff up in his truck, and they, you know, they were starting to move stuff up. And I was ready to just go kind of unplug for the night. So I went into my room and I was just watching Netflix on my computer, and I fell asleep, and, you know, whatever. I woke up the next morning and I walked out into the living room and I saw how empty it really was. And I looked into my roommate's bedroom and it was totally empty except for a few bits of furniture she has left in there. And I went into the kitchen and all the cupboards were bare and the fridge was empty. You know, all the things that were hers she took. And all of a sudden it hit me like a fucking ton of bricks. All of a sudden I was like, oh my God, it's really happening. It's really, really happening. This is it. Like, I'm in, you know, less than 2 weeks, I'm going to be leaving and I'm going to be moving back to New York. And man, I had such a moment of being so overwhelmed. I sat down on the couch and I just started crying. I was completely, it wasn't like a panic attack, but it was just this complete and total moment of realization that I was leaving my old life behind, and that something big and exciting and wonderful was calling me forward. But that in that moment, it felt really fucking scary, really fucking huge. And it felt like I was standing at the base of a huge mountain, looking all the way up at the top and saying, how in the hell am I ever going to make it up there? Can I do it? Am I ready? What happens? What if I fail? What if I fall? What if I flop? So I sat and I allowed myself to have the moment of realization. I allowed myself to have the fear. And then I was also aware that there were all these other things going on. There was the part of me that has, you know, really loved living in Seattle. And in many ways, Seattle's like one of the great loves of my life. I mean, I moved here when I was 18. That was almost 27 years ago. And here I am, leaving Seattle, and in many ways it feels very final. It feels like I'm leaving for the last time. You know, I've come and gone several times. I've talked about this. I moved to, you know, New York, and then back, and then San Francisco and LA, and then back, and here I am going back to New York. So there were a lot of layers and a lot of levels of what was going on with me emotionally, and they all just kind of erupted. And I realized in that moment that there had been some fear and anxiety that I just hadn't been taking the time to sit with, because I'd been so busy and so overwhelmed with preparing to do this thing that I wasn't present within my own emotional experience. So I texted my friend and I was like, oh my God, girl, I am like freaking out right now. I'm totally overwhelmed. And so he called me and we chatted, and we had a really, really beautiful conversation. And he said, I know that you see yourself as this small, little, insignificant person standing at the base of this mountain, looking up at the top and wondering how in the hell you're ever going to make it up there. He said, but what I see He said, what I see is a big, bright, powerful, magnificent being who stands in front of this mountain and says, this mountain is nothing. I am bigger than this mountain. I am bigger than this challenge. I am more expansive and I am greater than my circumstances and my story. He said, what you need to do is you need to remember to take that expanded perspective. When you find yourself in this moment of feeling overwhelmed and feeling in that uncomfortable friction and that tension of those two things butting up against each other, and you feel like you're just being squeezed in the middle, he said you need to remember to take a breath and to expand your perspective and to take that bird's eye view and remember that you've got this, that you're ready for this, that it's time for this, and that even though you don't have the details and all the information, that you're ready, and that this experience is calling you forward, and the only reason that it's come into your awareness is because you're ready for it. And it was a really beautiful reminder. His name is Ryan Allen. He's a dear friend of mine. We've been friends forever. He's doing this amazing, amazing thing. I'm going to put his website here on the screen for you. He's got this small group training fitness studio in San Francisco called Lifted, and it combines music and meditation and spirituality and mindfulness and small group exercises. And we've been friends forever, and it was just such a beautiful moment of realizing how I am surrounded by so much love and support. And in that moment when I really needed someone to talk me off the ledge, he was there. And then this idea stuck with me for a couple of days. This idea of standing in front of this mountain, this idea of looking up and seeing this really big, massive, monolithic experience standing before me, and this concept of allowing myself to expand and to grow so that I could take that experience into me. And the next morning, well, a couple days after that, and so I was obsessed with this idea. I just had this image in my head and I could not stop thinking about it. And so a couple of days after that, I woke up one morning and I heard this word in my head, and the word was subsume. S-U-B-S-U-M-E, subsume. And I kind of knew what that word meant, but I didn't really know what the proper definition was, so I looked it up. And it really means, and you can look it up, and if I had been really prepared for this video, because I didn't think I was going to do a video for you, so apologies that I'm not really prepared. But if you look it up, you'll see the proper definition. But really what it means is to really expand or to encompass or to surround a topic or an idea or a subject. And to really allow, you know, this bigness and this large big picture sort of umbrella to surround or to embrace a topic or a subject or an idea. And so I started thinking about this, and this is what I want to share with you, because I know that many of us are in this place right now where we find ourselves in this friction of the in-between. And we know that we're moving towards something else. We know that the old way doesn't really serve us anymore. We know that the old thoughts and the old fears and the old stories and all of the old is done, that it's dying. And that, you know, some of us are still in mourning of that, but we know that it's a dying thing, that it's ending. And then at the same token, we know that we're being called towards this new thing, but we don't have all the answers and we don't have all the details and we are a little unsure and afraid. So when we find ourselves on our path, when we find ourselves standing in front of something that we perceive as an obstacle or a barrier or a hurdle, we oftentimes perceive that it is outside of us, that it is in front of us, that it is the mountain that we are standing at the base of going, oh my God, how am I going to scale this thing? And when we perceive that it is out in front of us or outside of us or in our way, that creates a very frustrating or a very fearful experience because we suddenly think that we've hit this dead end or this brick wall. But when we allow ourselves to really expand our energy and to really just almost inflate ourselves and imagine that we're getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and we take that expanded, expansive, complete, infinite perspective, which is the truth of who we really are, then all of a sudden we subsume that problem or that barrier or that block or that boundary, and we move it into us. We take what we perceive as external and we take it and we consume it. We absorb it. We move it into us. And now that it's something that is internal, Now it's something that we see, this is not a barrier anymore. This is an opportunity. This is not a problem. This is a challenge. This is not an ending. This is a point or a period of transformation. And when I allow it to be something that is within me that I accept, then I stop resisting it. When I allow myself to accept it and to consume it, subsume it, absorb it into myself, then all of a sudden I say, oh, okay, so no longer is it this big, huge thing that's standing in front of me. Now it's something that I have put within myself. And now that it is within me, I see that I contain this experience, that there is a point here, that there is value here, that there is a reason here. And when I stop resisting it, I immediately allow myself to merge with it. And then it opens itself up and it reveals itself to me. There's another way to look at this. Last year, one of the teachings that was coming through in one-on-one sessions a lot was about the seat of mastery and sitting in our throne of sovereignty, sitting in this place of being empowered, sitting in this place of knowing that I am the master of myself. I am in my self-mastery, that my expanded, full, higher self, expansive self, infinite self, whatever you want to call it, I call it big me, little me. So big me is the container for all of this, including little me. It's like Russian nesting dolls. And when I allow little me to also subsume and absorb and accept the truth of the experience and be, out of resistance to it, then it creates a much different perspective. So when I am sitting in my seat of mastery, when I am remembering the truth of who I am, which is an infinite being having a finite experience called the life of Andrew, then I'm sitting in this throne of mastery. Then I'm sitting in this seat of sovereignty. And I see that I have nothing to prove. I have nothing to gain. This isn't an ego thing of saying I'm up here and you're down there. This is saying, no, this is the point of all of this, is for all of us to remember that we are the sovereign beings and the masters of our own experience. But when I sit in that seat and I sit in that throne, then I can see that anything that comes to me, an opportunity, a challenge, a block, a question, an experience, a cooperative situation, whatever it is, person, place, thing, idea, mental, physical, emotional, it doesn't matter. Anything that comes into my awareness is simply seeking an audience with me. And when I can perceive that I am sitting in that throne of mastery, in that seat of mastery, and that everything that comes to me, even my deepest, darkest fear, comes to me and it presents itself to me, and it has an offering for me. And it says, here I am fear, or I am pain, or I am challenge, or I am difficulty. And I am here to present my gift to you. So often when it's something that we would perceive as unwanted, like fear or difficulty or pain or challenge, we automatically say, no, I don't want that. I resist that. I don't want that in my awareness. I don't want that in my experience. I don't want to be in pain. I don't want to be uncomfortable. So I'm going to find a way to numb it or to, disbelieve it or to just avoid it, stick my head in the sand. And I automatically go into resistance. When I try to reject what is being presented to me, what is seeking an audience with me, I automatically go into resistance. So rather than letting myself go into resistance, I say, okay, I'm the sovereign being of my experience. I am the master. I keep thinking of Seinfeld. I'm the master of my own domain. When I am in my mastery, I say, okay, this is just a fear. This is a valuable experience that has presented itself to me. And when I let it be fear, it says, yes, I am fear. I can't be anything other than fear. But when you let me be what I am present in your experience and you don't judge it as good or bad, wanted or unwanted, just allow yourself to be curious about what is the value of this thing that is presenting itself to me, it suddenly opens up and it says to you, yes, I am fear, but I am a gift announcing itself as fear. I am a jewel. I am a lesson. I am an insight. I am an opportunity presenting itself as a fear or a difficulty or as a block. And when I allow itself to present itself to me and show me what it is, and I don't go into resistance and I just say, okay, I bring the mountain to me. No longer do I have to perceive that I am scaling this mountain and that I'm on this arduous journey that is big and scary and impossible. Now I say, okay, mountain, show me what you got. Bring yourself to me. I am bringing you to me. I am not going to you. I am allowing yourself to reveal yourself to me. Show me what you are. And immediately you open up and you unfold, and I see the gift in the circumstance. I see the beautiful, beautiful opportunity in the situation. And I don't have to be afraid of it anymore. And I don't have to resist it anymore. So when you find yourself in this tension of the in-between, because right now it is like, you know, we've been called back into action, we've unplugged from the matrix, we've exited the cave, whatever metaphor you want to use, and we are now proceeding towards the new thing. Even again, if we're not entirely sure, it doesn't matter. Because we just subsume our experience. We subsume our challenge or our situation or our difficulty, and we bring it to us. And we say, yes, it's seeking an audience with me. So I am going to grant it an audience with me because I am the sovereign master of my experience. And there is nothing that I cannot handle. There is nothing that I am not prepared for because it only ever comes to me in the moment when I am ready for it. And in the moment when it is something that I require for the growth and the evolution of all that I am. So let yourself have the moment of fear. Let yourself have the moment of doubt. Let yourself open up and just free those emotions. Free yourself from it. Untether from the emotional field and allow yourself to be present within it from that place of mastery. But don't forget that you are the one sitting on the throne of sovereignty. You are the one that has chosen all of this. So allow yourself to be present within it and ask the question, what is of value here? Why is it seeking an audience with me? And let it show you. So that's it, my friends. The next video that I share with you is probably going to be from Brooklyn or maybe from Kansas. I may do a video when I'm staying with my mom before I land in Brooklyn. Go to my website and check out the events tab at the top. There's one more day left in the Soul Expansion series calls. They have been amazing. The first one was Divine Feminine. The second one that we just did a couple of days ago was Divine Masculine. And I have a feeling that the one on this Sunday is going to be a balance of the two. It's beautiful, powerful information, lovely discussion and community that we're building together. And the energy work that's coming through is just, it's off the charts. It is remarkable and transformative. I can feel the bigness of these energies that are coming in. And when you sign up for the full series, even though you didn't make the first two, you'll still get the MP3s of all of them. So you can listen to them consecutively and do part 1, part 2, get yourself caught up on the energy work, and then join us for part 3 on Sunday. Also, check out my website, book a session with me. I have the new energy work session. I also still have my one-on-one session. If you click on the sessions tab, it'll tell you a bit more about what each session is, and then you use the book now button to access my calendar and to book a session. That's it, my friends. It's a really, really exciting time, and I know that many of us are still afraid and unsure, but allow yourself to be aware of the fact that you might just be stuck in between these 2 points that are creating some friction, and you're in the middle. And rather than cower and retract and pull back from your experience, expand, grow, and move into your bigness and subsume it and bring the mountain to you. Thank you as always for watching. I love you. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.